Carrots help you see in the dark. Most of us were taught this fact from an early age, presumably in a vain attempt to convince us to eat our vegetables. And on the surface, this makes sense. After all, carrots are rich in beta-carotene and vitamin A, essential to maintain the health of our retinas and corneas. But while carrots do have real health benefits, the idea that eating a lot of them will magically grant you night vision superpowers is a myth, one with its origin in World War II British propaganda. In September 1940, the Germans launched an aerial bombing campaign against London and other southern English cities, with the aim of demoralizing the British into ending the war. While the German Air Force initially bombed by day, ferocious resistance by the British Air Fighter Command forced them to switch to night bombing. While this should have made the bombers almost impossible to track and shoot down, the British had a secret weapon up their sleeve: radars. The invention of radar came from almost by accident in 1934. British intelligence began receiving reports that the Germans were developing some kinds of death rays which could use powerful radio waves to store enemy aircraft engines or even set it light at a great distance. A special committee known as the Tissot Commission was established to investigate these claims. While they found that the power consumption of such death ray would make it impractical, they also came to another surprising conclusion: that a far more reasonable sized transmitter could be used to detect and track enemy aircraft. Long before they reached their targets, the task of evaluating this possibility fell to a radio expert, Robert Watson Watt, and his assistant Arnold Winkins, who on February 26, 1935 used a prototype radio transmitter to successfully detect a RAF bomber flying over Daventry. The system soon became known as Radio Direction Finding and Arranging, or radar. Just prior to the war, a line of radar towers known as the Train Home was erected along the Channel's coast. These provided valuable information during the Battle of Britain, allowing incoming German bombers to be detected far enough in advance for RAF fighters to be scrambled to intercept them. However, these units were extremely large and operated at relatively long wavelengths, making them all but useless for shooting down aircraft at night. Then in 1940, John Rennell, in the University of Birmingham, developed the cavity magnetron device, which allowed the construction of radar, light and compact enough to be mounted in aircraft. The first of these airborne units entered service in early 1941 and allowed the British night fighters pilots to find and shoot down German bombers in large numbers. The greatest of these ace squadron leaders, John Capsize Cunningham, racked up 20 victories before the war's end. 19 of them were at night. In order to conceal the secrets of radar, the British Minister of Information launched a campaign of misinformation, attributing the success of pilots like Cunningham to their superior eyesight gained through eating large amounts of carrots, according to the World Carrot Museum. And yes, it is a real thing. Somewhere on the journey, the message that carrots are good for your eyes became disfigured into improving eyesight. But this propaganda wasn't just aimed at the Germans when the Germans Air Force began bombing by night. The British imposed a total blackout requiring citizens to keep their lights off or cover their windows with heavy blackout curtains to deny German pilots as a means of locating their targets. The blackout condition led to a sharp increase in traffic collision, with nearly 1,130 British dying at night time road accidents in the first year alone of the war. Soon, Minister of Information posters appeared claiming carrots keep you healthy and help you see in the blackout. Other government departments also got onto the campaign, with the Minister of Agriculture releasing a statement in December 1940 claiming if we include a sufficient quantity of carrots in our diet, we should overcome the fairly prevalent malady of blackout blindness. The head of Minister of Food even coined a catchy saying: "A carrot today keeps blackouts at bay." This campaign was itself part of a larger effort to change the eating habits of the British public. Being a small island nation, Britain depended on foreign import for much of its food supply, so at the outbreak of the war, the German Navy launched a campaign and restricted submarine warfare against the merchant ships in order to starve the British into submission. In response, the British government opposed a system of rationing on food, fuel, and other everyday products. With many staples like butter, meat, and sugar now in short supply, the government encouraged citizens to switch to their diets to one richer and vegetables which they could grow themselves at home. The Minister of Food Stake for Victory campaigns cast Home Garden as a patriotic war-winning duty, stating that it is a food war. Every extra row of vegetables at allotments saves shipping. The battle on the kitchen front cannot be won without help from the kitchen garden. Isn't an hour in the garden better than an hour in the queue? This push for food sustainability led to a greater emphasis being put onto the consumption of carrots, which were easy to grow, highly nutritious, and can be used as a mild sweetener in the absence of real sugar. Cartoon characters called Dr. Carrot and Potato Pete were used to promote vegetables consumption, while the government gave creative and sometimes even questionable recipes, which is of course carrot based, such as carrot pudding, carrot cake, carrot fudge, and even a drink called Carol Aid. Children were even sold carrots on a stick in place of lollipops, and in case of defeating the Nazis wasn't motivational enough to eat your carrots, the government continued to push the notions that a carriage diet would prevent you from being hit by a truck during the blackout. Such was the British obsession with carrots that had even made the news in the United States. Following America's entry into the war, America would also jump onto the carrots diet, with the New York Times printing British Minister of Food recipes and articles stating England grows a lot of carrots and it's on them that she largely relies to prevent her people from bumping into lampposts, automobiles, and each other. Even Walt Disney got onto the game, with Disney cartoonists designing a family of cartoon characters based on British carrot propagandas, including Carroty George, Pop Carrot, and Clara Carrot, to promote vegetables consumption to the American public. Warren Brothers also made their own contribution in the form of rabbits called Bugs Bunny. These campaigns were so successful that by 1942, Britain found itself with 100,000 tons surplus of carrots. But what of the original goal of the campaign to deflect Germans' attention away from the existence of airborne radar? While there are stories of the Germans feeding their pilots larger amounts of carrots, most historians agreed that they were not fooled by the British propaganda. According to the RAF Museum in London, the Air Ministry were happy to go along with the story. They never set out to use it to fool the Germans. The German intelligence service were well aware of the British ground-based radar installation and would not be surprised by the existence of radar and aircraft. In fact, the RAF were able to confirm the existence of German airborne radar simply by fitting commercial radios in a bomber, by flying over France to listen to the various radio frequencies. The campaign was far more successful on Allied civilians, with the myth of carrots being good for night vision stubbornly persisting to this day. This is not to say, however, that carrots have no effect on eye health. Vitamin A deficiency can lead to night blindness, the inability to see in low light, while severe deficiency can lead to a serious degeneration of retina and cornea. Every year, an estimated 250,000 children go blind from lacking vitamin A. most in poorer countries like Nepal and regions of India. Supplements of beta-carotene and vitamin A have proved effective in reversing much of the damage. However, vitamin A can only restore and maintain eyesight to regular healthy levels. It cannot magically grant you night vision or superpowers. An excessive amount of vitamin A can actually be toxic. Although getting it in the form it comes in carrots and other sorts of vegetables will not be harmful to your body, as your body will not convert carrots or other vegetables into vitamin A if it doesn't need any vitamin A. But it can still be toxic if you get it from an animal source like liver or animal-based vitamin A supplement where it's already in the vitamin A form. Furthermore, studies have shown that carrots are actually relatively inefficient as a source of vitamin A. So go ahead, eat as much carrots as you want, but if you really want to see in the dark for some reasons, a pair of night vision goggles would be suggested. I really hope that you found this video interesting. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and remember to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in the next video.